us to pay homage to him.
We have always been the prize because we have always had and still have something that other people won't, think they can't do without, and don't care to pay for. Because we have always been the prize, we have been under siege for over 3,000 years. Nothing that ever brought into Africa from the outside was meant to do the African any good.
She made me to know my history, to know my roots. So I grew up with a love for myself and secure within myself, never feeling inferior and certainly not feeling superior, but that chip on the shoulder that the young lady spoke about is my self-assurance, my confidence, my ability to speak the truth without fear. I don't bend when I don't have to. I don't scratch where I don't itch. I look white people in the eye and speak honestly and truthfully and candidly and unhypocritically to you. That's not a chip. That's just self-assurance that comes from self-knowledge. Teach your children that, and whether we are here or there, we'll be able to make a future for ourselves.
Who are you? You don't know? Don't tell me Negro, that's nothing. What were you before the white man named you a Negro? And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours? What language did you speak then? What was your name? It couldn't have been Smith or Jones or Bunch or Powell. That wasn't your name. They don't have those kind of names where you and I came from. No, what was your name? And why don't you now know what your name was then? Where did it go? Where did you lose it? Who took it? And how did he take it? What tongue did you speak? How did the man take your tongue? Where is your history? How did the man wipe out your history? What did the man do to make you as dumb as you are right now?
In fact, recently, some lot of garbage is written in books by people who call themselves historians, making it appear as if we have to thank Lyndon Baines Johnson for the advancement because he signed the Civil Rights Bill. Of course he signed it, but while he was signing it, we were in the streets burning the country down. You better hurry and sign it. Burn the whole country down. Do it quick. But if you're not careful, you will thank Lyndon Baines Johnson.
I say, now, give us that poetry on number 7. He wanted to go to heaven, so I took him in 7. You took him in 7. I am the king of the world. Hold it. I'm pretty. Hold it. You're not that pretty. I'm a bad man. Wait. I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
So we always say the Black Panther Party that they can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Melanated Power Hour. I'm your host, Sam Polk Jr. So honored, so thankful, so blessed to have you back with us one more time as we discuss issues pertinent to the African Diaspora. And once again, for those who are new to the show, the African Diaspora is anywhere that black people may be, whether it be Jackson, Mississippi, Nashville, Tennessee, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Barbados, you name it. We recognize those places as our homes away from home, but we also recognize the fact that we are indeed African, and the continent of Africa is our home indeed. I am joined again by the man, the myth, the legend, the funniest man I know, comedian Just Will. What say you, my brother?
My brother, man. It is a great day to be live with you in the studio, man. I'm willing to sit here and learn another interesting fact about black culture that I didn't know before.
Well, try to do my best.
But, man, seriously, it's just a pleasure sitting here, man, learning things that I should have already known, and it's a shame on myself, man. But,
No. We learning together, man.
But I will say this, man.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a new movie. That's that Will Smith movie.
Okay.
Pretty good movie.
Okay.
But somebody said, well, man, I don't think that those things that happened, I don't think that's a true story. I said, look here, brother. Anything about slavery, if it was bad, it pretty much happened.
Well,
it may not have happened in the way they said it, but it happened somewhere on Earth. I mean, somewhere in the country.
Yeah, I plan on watching it, but for the purposes of what we do here, it's a scholar's corner, and we don't give a damn what you think, what you thought, what you heard, what somebody told you.
Right.
Yeah, go research.
Exactly.
Don't tell me what you think didn't happen. Yeah, I don't care what you think. You know what I'm saying? Come back with empirical data.
Right.
First of all, was he a historical character? But that's a topic for another time.
We'll talk about that later.
Another time. But I wanted to introduce two guests that we have. We're going to have a discussion, try to get out of this depression that we have been under for a few days as we coming out of it, and have a real discussion about the celebration, and that is the celebration of the Celebration Bowl that is happening this weekend, the Black College National Championship. Two wonderful guests, native Jackson Mississippians like myself. First off, we have Brother Carlos Locke, who is the author of Black College Football, the game that time forgot. I'm going to try to hold that up. I'm getting a little better at that. Please go out and get that. Brother Carlos, how you doing?
Hey, brothers, I feel good today, man. Thanks for having me on, as always, Brother Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we have Brother Ken Clark from Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club. Brother Ken doesn't know it, and sometimes when you're doing a good work, you don't always get your flowers when you should get them. But Brother Ken has provided for myself and a lot of others. He's made that road that we've traveled through, this little dark period that we had. He done got a lot of people through some depressions, and I was hurt, brother. And I'm telling you, a lot of things that you said that made so much sense, ways of looking at it that I didn't look at it. Man, I really appreciate you, and listening to you during those days really, really uplifted my spirits and got us to this point where we are today. How you doing, Brother Ken? I think you might be muted, bro.
There you go.
Hey, Joe.
Yes, sir.
I'm good. Y'all can hear me?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. Appreciate you for having me on, man. Again, like I said, I always feel like I'm busy, but I wasn't going to tell you no, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, brother. But what we're going to do first, let me get into a little background information. Of course, if you didn't know, we've said it before on the show. First ever recorded game between two HBCUs, Biddle College and Livingstone College, back in December 27, 1892. Biddle College is now John C. Smith College. That game was had, and immediately after the game, a national champion was declared. It was the first game ever, the only two black colleges that had teams. You understand what I'm saying? So we always had a sense of wanting to be the best after our seasons. But after that, in 1906 is probably the first documented time that we had an official black college national champion, and that again was Livingstone as well. And it is not really clear if they were named that by an outside source or if they declared themselves national champions, but that sparked a tradition that we have for most of that period of time before we get to the Celebration Bowl, especially up into the 1970s. The Pittsburgh Courier would tabulate the weekly HBCU rankings and come up with a national champion at the end of it. In this week's Celebration Bowl, or this year's Celebration Bowl, we have Jackson State University versus North Carolina Central University. And through my research, I may be wrong. Brother Carlos or Brother Ken could correct me if I'm wrong. Jackson State has, I think, 3 national championships, one in 1962, finishing with a final record of 10-1, 1985, finishing with a record of 8-3, and also 1996, finishing with a record of 10-2. And I could only find 2 national championships for North Carolina Central, and that's 2006, finishing with a record of 11-1, and in 1954 finishing with a record of 7-1-1. This is a great weekend to be celebrated, having some skin in the game. I really want to avenge our game from last year. But Brother Carlos, what I want to ask you is, what are your takeaways from this game? What do you want to see? I know we have the SWAC Offensive Player and Defensive Player of the Year on one team, and also the MEAC Offensive Player and Defensive Player of the Year on the other team. So that shows the excellence of both teams. What do you expect to happen, or what do you want to see happen?
Yeah, I think the thing about it for me is when you look at NCU's schedule and the games they played, I think the game that they ended up beating New Hampshire, was a really strong win. and I think Gardner Webb maybe was another win that they had. Obviously, we have a common opponent in them with Campbell University, and that game is kind of almost like a throwaway because it's a noon kick game.
Yeah.
And noon kick games tend to throw off really good football teams for one reason or another.
Absolutely.
I was able to watch them on when they played Morgan State. It was on ESPN2 or ESPN3. And, you know, obviously the quarterback is spinning really good. Offense is clicking, good defense. But then again, it's Morgan State. So not a lot to take away from that. But the one thing I will say about NCCU that I noticed is I was at the Black MEAC Challenge last year when they played Alcorn.
Yes.
You know, Felix Harper obviously, you know, was man doing his deal. And I remember that initial drive that Alcorn had. I mean, they went down, scored 7-0 like it wasn't no problem. And they got the ball again. You know, Felix, I think he took a nasty hit. Might have been concussed. And from that point on, NCCU kind of took control of the game. Absolutely. And I think that's been a turning point in their program and what Trey Oliver has been able to do.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, we got our hands full, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Brother Ken, I'm going to ask you that same question. What do you expect to see? How do you see this game playing out? But first, before I get to that, we got a new coach. How do you feel about that new hire? Think you might be muted.
Hey, you there?
Yeah, there we go. Were you able to hear that last question, Brother Ken?
All right. So about the new coach, shout out to TC Taylor. I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic to have TC, and for multiple reasons. The first reason is, I mean, he's a true blue Tiger, man. He's waited his turn. Not so much as like he was waiting in line, but he's been prepared for this moment. I mean, he has a very decorated resume. We would have taken TC as a head coach a couple seasons ago prior to Coach Prime, but the fact that he was able to sit on his staff and be a part of these two SWAC championship back-to-back winning teams and tight ends coach, and then this year he had a little offensive coordinator last year, but this year he was the wide receivers coach. He has been able to foster a great relationship with a lot of the players in the house, and just have seen the inner workings of multiple staffs, and having to come in and play on the Big Daddy. And he also coached on the North Carolina Central, won 3 MEAC championships. So, I mean, I feel like I got a chance to talk to A.D. Robinson, and he, you know, we talked a little bit about the other candidates, and just the one thing that he did talk about with TC was that's the hunger. He was hungry, man. He was hungry, and not only was he hungry, but he was prepared. I mean, he had his staff together. He got a great recruiting list. Has a great direction and mentality of the direction in which you want to take the program, and being close enough to kind of know a lot of what's going on kind of behind the scenes with the program, and the transition has been kind of shaky and rough, and I'm ecstatic because we got somebody in the building now, and I don't want to say it this way as if it wasn't that way, but I'm going to say it anyway. We got somebody in there that loves Jackson State, man.
Yes, sir.
And it's going to take Jackson State and love on it and foster it back to respectability in certain regards. It's a tough time right now because, you know, we've honeymooned for these past 2 seasons under Coach Prime, and now it's a transition. So either any coach that would have followed up Coach Prime would have been a drop off because he's one of one, and just in general. But I'm ecstatic, man. I mean, I love the direction he hit the ground running. He's already gotten 3 commits since he's. And I'm excited about the future. We don't know how many players are going to hit the portal after the Celebration Bowl. We know they want to stay because they want to be JSU Tigers. And those that come will be there because they want to play for Coach TC and they want to be a Jackson State Tiger. That's what I'm excited about.
Absolutely. How do you see the game playing out? Do we miss anybody, or do we retain everybody at least for this game? The usual starters, and how do you see it playing out?
I think we got to go out and play. This is a really good team, North Carolina Central. They have a really good quarterback. Davius Richard is a star. He's everything they say he is. I would say if you watch all of the games and followed some of the things that we do some of our weaknesses on defense, he has the skill set to exploit us in those regards. His ability to actually run as well as pass, great accuracy. And you're talking about a kid that came in this program, homegrown, and has actually he's improved every single year. Like you mentioned, the MEAC Defensive Player of the Year also on the team. They have a really good room of DBs. So us being a really great passing team, the thing that's going to be the question for us is how focused are we?
Mm-hmm.
I know we want to pretend like everything that's happening with our program isn't happening. Coach Prime being in Colorado, Shador being in Colorado, introduces a new quarterback. I mean, how focused is too going to be up between the ears?
Yeah.
And we have to be honest about it. If you're going to ask me my opinion, I'm going to give you the real on it. But I think the team, they have a mission, man. They have a mission to finish 13-0.
Yes.
And sometimes, adversity and a lot of things that transpire can cause you to kind of lock in with your brothers and just go in and give it all that you got. They've been to the Celebration Bowl. They lost. We got out coached and we just got out beat. We just got beat pretty bad last year against South Carolina State. I don't think they want to have that same taste in their mouth. I don't think that they're going to go in cocky and thinking that North Carolina Central is not for real. So I think we're going to come out and see a focused Jackson State team just like we saw in the SWAC championship. And I expect it to be a close one that actually we pull away towards the end. I don't see North Carolina Central on this great defense that we do have. I don't see them getting past 20 points, and I see us kind of getting into the 30s. So I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think it'll be a respectable game with us coming out on top. Everybody will be there that's supposed to be there from what I've been told. So just the kids that did hit the portal were kids that probably wasn't going to make the trip and wasn't going to play. So I think it'll be a great game. Outcome Jackson State, I say, mid-30s to low 20s for North Carolina Central.
Yes, sir. Davius Richards, that quarterback, that's a big kid. He's worrying me a little bit based on the Bubba McDaniels last week. But of course, we didn't game plan for Bubba McDaniels. They've had So I hope we're ready for him. I know we will be. Brother Carlos, wanted to ask you. There's a certain level, and we'll get into it a little more deeper. Misinformation and that sort of thing leads to contention from either side, but it's mainly based upon not having the proper information. You make better decisions. You make better statements when you have the proper information. One thing that I want to impress upon most people that are coming to the game and they're from Jackson or from Mississippi or a Jackson State fan is that there's a certain level of decorum that I want us to have, and that's for several reasons. But one of the main reasons is this is not a good look to be booing, to be disrespectful or derogatory to our current head coach. So I want to implore upon everybody that's coming that's in support of the Tigers to cheer, because you're not just booing a coach. There's players that look at him as a father figure. Some of them do. That's the reality of it. And I think for 4 quarters, no matter how you feel about what happened and what transpired, it's bigger than you, than to go in there and show you behind because you're upset or emotional. We need to cheer, be classy and respectful. What would you say to that, Brother Carlos? You in agreement with that?
Hey, I'm a retired military officer. So yeah, for me, I am. But hey, I'm a Jacksonian as well, man.
Yeah.
I used to sell programs in the vet back in the days, man. That's a tall ask.
Yeah.
For you to ask our folks. I think we're gonna do what we do, and I'm one of those guys, man, to not tell anybody how to feel.
Yeah.
And you got to let them get it out however they want to get it out. You talked about earlier, getting through what you had to get through. Mm-hmm. And there's some folks that just ain't got through. And so however it's going to help them break through, let them express that. Because Ken said it best, man. We've been on a honeymoon for the last couple of years. Like I said, we ain't lost 2 games in 2 years. And not knowing what's on the other side, right? Scares the hell out of everybody.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Right? And so whatever it takes for them to get this out of them now so we can be focused going into the year, because, not too far in front of ourselves, but we got South Carolina State to start the year off in 2023.
Yes, sir.
So we'll be right back to Atlanta,
Absolutely. Brother Ken, would you be in agreement with that statement that Jackson State fans should be on their best behavior just because of the optics and the national attention that'll be on that game?
Yeah, I think I don't think the national
I don't think they'll pick that up too tough.
Okay.
I don't think the media is favorable on our side right now because we're dealing with a media machine.
Yes.
My admonishment to Jackson State was to really leave Coach Prime alone.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm like Carlos. I mean, I love what he said. I mean, I don't like to tell people how to feel. I have the right to. I like my statement was simple. What Coach Prime said when he came to Jackson, everybody internalized that in their own way. Yeah. It meant something different to everyone, including people that weren't Jackson State fans. Whatever it is that he said that drew them into him. So the way they feel is how they reacted to his words. Some of us have saw disappointment a lot in life, and we've mastered, you know what I'm saying, the skill of moving on. Yeah. You know, we take our 15 minutes, we kick, scream, holler, and then we move on. We proceed because we live by a creed that says, hey, I can't change the things that I don't like, but I change how I feel about it, right? So one thing we know is that no matter what we do, he's not coming back. Sure. that's just the sale, right? But the thing I admonished everyone why we wouldn't want to do is because when he run out, he's gonna run out when he with the team. Yeah. Now, I know he does his pregame walk. Hey man, listen, this is Jackson, man. Yeah. This is Jacktown, right? And we're a prideful, disrespected, overlooked, disregarded town, and we feel we love our town, we love our Tigers, and a lot of things that have happened since the initial announcement has been deemed disrespectful. Sure. So as a result of those things that people see, and it's still going on. I just choose to not, because it's hard to have a platform and people come on. So I love to allow people come on and give their perspective because it just, you know, I'm helping to help us get it out. Oh, absolutely. So we can kind of move on, you know. So in Atlanta though, I can't say what we're gonna do, but I'll just say I won't boo. I hope they don't. But even if they do, you know, it'll be what it's gonna be, and we'll move on. But absolutely, Coach Prime, I'll say this and I'll be done. I was frustrated with the whole ordeal, how it ended, because I just felt like we missed an opportunity to celebrate both sides. Sure. I wanted to see Coach Prime celebrated for his accomplishments, and I wanted to see Jack State celebrated for the opportunity that was afforded him, and it also allows that light to continue to shine, like Carlos said, so we can continue to grow in the direction we want to grow. But to have mudslinging and stuff like that, you mentioned misinformation, right? Yeah. Dealing with someone that is very, very astute at controlling the narrative. He knows how to get people thinking a certain way based off what he puts in front of them from a media standpoint, right? When there's misinformation that's dangling around and you have the ability to nip it in the bud, but you choose not to, people aren't, you know, people can deem that as, well, why don't you just clear it up if you know that's not what transpired? Yeah. And then if it did happen, why don't you provide the receipts and be specific like you've been consistently with us? Every time someone calls you out on something, you was like, hey, I got receipts, I'll show you this what that was, this what that was. But it's being deemed that to some that because there's no real clarity and then there's no real specifics from that side in regards to that, the university came out and defended itself, but there was still nothing from the other side, you know. So that right there is tugging at a lot of people and seeing things that are coming out. I hate to be long-winded, but no, you good. You know what I mean? When things hit the media, you know, from recruits and Jacksonians, the Jackson State fans and alums learned that, you know, our sitting there coach was recruiting and talking to other recruits long before the announcement. Yeah. Those types of things that get out in public is like, wait a minute, bro, you can't do that to us, you know, and it's tough to see because I've never seen two coaches in one place. No. A recruiting weekend and then come back and coach a team. It's very unusual. Many don't like it. Many don't want him to coach this game. And for various reasons, I could say more, but I'll pause right there. Right. And just leave it at that. I tended to, from the business side of HBCU sports and the Celebration Bowl, and for everything that's in it, the seniors that are trying to get to the league, I wanted to see Jackson State have his best chance to win the game. So I was like, you know what, let's let him coach, let's let him finish. I know if he doesn't coach, his son's not going to coach. Absolutely. Not going to play. I mean, let's just go out with a bang. Let's get done with this. Saturday, when the game's over with, Coach Prime's going to be on his jet heading back to Colorado for his recruiting weekend. And Jackson knows that. So that's why we can't tell Jackson how to feel when they feel stepped on and disrespected. by most of them. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
that's my take on it.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Brother Carlos, one of my main reasons for hoping that we don't boom, and again, you have the right to react emotionally how you choose to, right? Nobody can rob you of that right. And from the other way of looking at it, you have the freedom of speech to say whatever you want to, but what you don't have is freedom of consequences. So when you say certain things, you can't be upset at the reaction you get, you understand? But one of my main reasons, just thinking in a business perspective, a football purely perspective and not emotionally, like Brother Ken said, if you treat him in a certain way, not only if you didn't allow him to coach, certainly his son's not playing, that's our quarterback, how many other players not playing, how many other coaches won't show up, all that kind of thing, right? But also a guy that's that powerful in the media, you might want to leave him alone. You might want to treat him kind until he gone on out the door, because it ain't no telling what he could do, what he could say. He can steer that narrative to look the way he wants it to look. You understand? But what I want to say about, ask you about the misinformation part of this thing. You and I were talking about the Ayers case, and there's so much, it's so deeper than just losing a football coach. And if you were a Coach Prime fan, as I were, as I still am, the football player, the coach, and all of that, one difference is between the two sides of this argument is that there's a group of people like us that have an emotional attachment to the team, to the city, and also a certain feeling by the promises that were made. And you have another side of it that's just like the man, Prime, and that's it. They can't see it from our example. You know, from our side of it, we can actually see it from their side, because nobody is mad at the things that they think we're mad at. But it's based mainly on misinformation and things out there. For example, it's constantly thrown out that Jackson State alumni only gives 13% annually, and that rate of giving is actually higher than the average HBCU. That's not put out there. I think the average PWI only gives at about 20 or 25, and they have a much bigger population and several more generations at this to be able to give back, when we usually are first generation college students. What would you say, what would you point out as some of the particular I guess misinformation campaigns that are going on out there that you would like people to know that that's just not the way it is, and do a little research before you take at face value what people may say if they have a dog in the fight in terms of defending a certain individual?
Yeah, what I want to add is, first and foremost, like you talked about giving people their flowers, I definitely want to give Ken his flowers for what he does, because that's critical, especially in the SWAC. And then my young kings, SWAC and Food, for what they do, GSPN and JMAC, for them putting out information. The biggest thing about this misinformation, and like Ken was talking about the media machine, and the 2 points I want to make about the media machine to this misinformation stuff. So, you pull Stephen A. Smith in here, right? And he likes to pontificate when it's convenient. And he had the nerve to go on live air to say that Coach Eddie Robinson Jr. was Coach Eddie Robinson Sr.'s son. But he loves his HBCUs and what he does. And man, that was so despicable in and of itself right there. And then his editors had to come back on and correct his behind. Now, it's my bad, it make a mistake. Now, you really got to do more than that, brother.
Yeah.
Like you need to go on a presser tour to really apologize, because, like my classmate was telling me, Coach Hayes, he has a podcast, and he's like, we're the only group of people that always have to apologize, right? Like you see with Kyrie Irving, like he really got to apologize to get back on the court. So when we get disrespected the way that Stephen A. Smith did, he owes apology the way that it needs to be, and not to be glossed over.
Yeah.
Another media misinformation that I saw again was on Fox Sports Network with Mr. Acho and LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy had the nerve to come out of his mouth and say the first time he ever heard of HBCUs was when Coach Prime showed up on Jackson State.
Wow.
And it's like, but you want to call us your people.
Joey Galloway also.
Yeah. You want to call us your people. And like the saying goes, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And these folks, it's like they kind of need to stay where they at. Because if you coming down here, you're not helping us. You're doing more harm than anything else, especially when you won't use your platform one, like you always talk about, Brother Sam, do your research.
He said that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Live. Didn't stutter. Didn't blink. Like, hey, I don't know nothing about no HBCU football. You know, and like Ken said, Jackson is already a city that's already in the margin. And when you get folk on there to continue to come on here and stuff and push, they just stealing everything in Jackson, all this stuff's going on. Now it's like you continue with the narrative that continues to allow us to be pushed to the margin.
Absolutely. I would also, I think maybe one of the most hurtful things that was said, and it's probably true because he made it. You just have to question why would he say that. And that's Shannon Sharp when he said the only reason I picked the HBCUs is because my grades were bad, and that might be true for him. But the overwhelming majority, you see what I'm saying? You're taking the anomaly and using that as a point of reference to defend a person against an attack that you should understand. That's what I don't understand. One of the things that kind of brought my faith back a little bit is there was a point in the season, not only this season but last season, where other HBCUs kind of gave us that treatment because of the success that Jack State was enjoying from Coach Prime, and it kind of was like us against them. But it looked like they kind of came around and defended us a little bit because they know the struggle of the HBCU side of things. You understand what I'm saying? And I thought that felt good a little bit. You understand? Go ahead.
Hey, Brother Ken, I have a question for you.
That's I want to throw that real quick. I had to go out and on my platform and just say thank you because I saw like brothers like B.J. Jones, you know, who's a staple in the HBCU media community and played, and very respectful, very respected, and to see someone from Southern who is a, you know, we want to beat Southern in marbles, man, and we just beat them in the SWAC championship. But they were out on the front lines, Grambling, Southern, I mean, you name it, North Carolina Central. You know, it was like, you know what? Y'all talking about family now. Now we got to come out and defend because, in a sense, to them, it almost feels like Jackson State let the gate open, man.
Yeah.
And yet, although we benefited from it, we're going to have to ask the question, depending, because we don't know where this is going to go and how it's going to end. I get on YouTube now, man, and I'm saying this for a reason because I'm seeing all these little rinky-dink YouTube channels pop up. And now the hot thing now is why this is another reason Coach Prime left.
Yeah.
And it's like a gang up on Jackson State and Jackson and bash HBCUs. And I'm not talking about 100 views, man. I'm talking thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands. I'm looking at the comments and I say, you know what, let me look at this video. And I watched one video this morning and it was littered with misinformation. So much so that I had to comment. And the young man commented back and I said, my man, if you're going to make a video and you're going to talk about an interview that you did not listen to,
sure,
and your basis is what somebody said, my man, please don't speak on that.
Thank you.
He said, I know you might be a little bit. I said, I am a lot more knowledgeable. I'm also knowledgeable of just exactly how much Jackson State paid Coach Prime because I asked the one that actually signed the check. Give me the number. And I'm not going to put that out there. I'm just telling you, it's not what's being reported because you have what's being reported and you have what the university also is doing that ain't being reported. And what's so crazy to me about it, it's like whenever somebody is accusing someone, I actually broke down the Earn Your Leisure interview. Sure. I broke it down into like 10 different parts. No one gave a hoot and a holler about what Coach Prime said 2 months ago. No one did.
Yeah.
No one highlighted this. And for them to grab that now. And I'm going to say it this way. Oh, man. I don't want to get in trouble, but I just say this. I'll say this. There was people in the media space, in the YouTube world, that not very fond of Jackson State or Dion this entire time.
Right.
And everything that they put out was against Jack State and Coach Prime. And then it's like the other side seemed to be more favorable in that direction now that they're leaving. And it was just weird, man. A lot of weird.
You predicted that. You predicted
and
that.
I told you.
Yeah, you predicted
I said what's
that.
going to happen. I said what's going to happen is it's going to flip.
Yeah.
And when it flips, everybody that hated him is going to become his apologists. It's going to be the world against. You think it's us against the world. Now it really is us against the world, man. And but the misinformation is unbelievable. Last thing I'll say on this is this: whenever there's allegations, who's the burden of proof on? Is it the accuser?
Yeah.
Why is Jackson State having to prove that it didn't do something when it was only an allegation? When in actuality, the person that now listen, and I even implored this. I said, listen, if there was something that transpired that we need to know as alums, let us know so we can hold those who are in leadership accountable, so that they don't, because like you said, at HBCUs, man, or anywhere, it's the issues at HBCUs sit at everybody's front door. I said the mass majority has to suffer for the decisions of a few. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's like the whole community has to wear that on their shoulders because one or two idiots decided to do something, and now everybody acts like because Dion had a situation where somebody stole something from him, and then the car was broken into. But now Jackson is now a place of thieves,
right,
and burglars.
Absolutely.
And now we have to carry that, and it's sad that it's that way, man. So that's why I said Jackson State, leave Deion Sanders alone, please.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor and leave him alone.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Hey, Brother Ken, I got a question for you.
Sure thing.
To get me straight. So I graduated. I left Jackson back in '95. I'm a Callaway High graduate.
Okay.
But I remember the Ayers case when I was 13 years old, and back then, the case. My memory was the fact that it looked like the state was trying to close Jackson State, Valley, and Alcorn, and consolidate them underneath the Ole Miss deal. And as all of this rhetoric was coming out about my city, I downloaded the settlement from the Ayers case. So the case was brought up in 1975, went through 25 years of a lot of back and forth stuff, but we settled the case in 2001. And a part of the settlement granted use of the Mississippi Veterans Stadium to Jackson State as their home. They didn't give it to us. So from as far as you know, did we ever buy it? Do we own it? Or are we leasing it? Or what's going on? Because I think that plays a major part in continuing to grow Jackson State and what we're able to do financially.
Well, I was told if you look at it, I think it was 2011. It's the 2011 where legislation had. We didn't own it at the time, but so here's what happened. I want to say around 2011, the state granted Jackson State ownership of the actual stadium. Ownership, you owned and operated by Jackson State. So for as long as we wanted to, that's what it said. So, but we don't own the land that it sits on, which is why it's always been this.
Back
Do
and
we
forth.
own it? Are we renting? We're not paying rent for a stadium. We don't pay a dime for it. They granted us ownership of it, but it's owned and operated by Jackson State since 2013, since 2011, I want to say. And that's pretty much the gist of what I know. I do know that the land that it sits on is not owned by Jackson State or anything. Like, they didn't grant us the land, which is why the talks of tearing the stadium down and building the Jackson State its own stadium on campus, not at the Metro Center, not off 55, not by the Coliseum, on the campus. I have to say that because every time I talk to people about this, it's like hearing your nails scratch chalk when they talk about, well, Jackson State should put the stadium at the Retro Center because that's just a great spot.
Yeah.
Because of what it's like. No, Jackson State is not in place to fix Jackson. And I know people get mad when I say that. Jackson State is in Jackson.
It's true.
It's not there to. Jackson should be serving Jackson State, not the other way around.
Absolutely.
It's just my opinion on that. So
Absolutely.
I think when people say that, we got to stop because the TC got hired. And I told TC this when we interviewed him yesterday on Tiger Talk 1400 Club. I said we always think Jackson State and Jackson State football is there to serve us, right? When the decision is made and we don't like it, we get the pouting, we get to talking crazy. Some of us go to our social media pages and air out everything we think, right? But I said, when have you asked the question, hey, Jackson State, what do you need from me? Because if it's truly the I love, right? I had to ask Coach. I said, Coach, tell us, what do you need? Because his success is our success. And we should have a vested interest in Coach being successful. Now, he got to go do the X's and O's, but just as an example, I just thought that was a great point. So, in regards to the stadium, I just get annoyed when people say the stadium should go other places that's convenient for them,
right,
or what they think is convenient for them. The stadium needs to be, if we get a new stadium, when we get a new stadium, let me say it that way, it's going to be on the campus of Jackson State, or we're going to stay at the Veterans Memorial Stadium, where we don't have to pay rent, where it's been granted that we have ownership for as long as we want to, and they can't push us out because it's law. And you know what's beautiful about that? For eons, our people have been getting kicked in the teeth because of laws that have been scripted against us. Right? So we finally have something on paper that allows us to own it. I am, you know, to hear all the way to the end until we decide that we don't want to do that. My honest desire, I don't want to stay there. I want to renovate the vet.
Absolutely.
And I want to put all the rest of the money into this campus.
Absolutely.
Because we got so many things on the campus that we could upgrade and do. I say invest. Somebody say the stadium costs $200 million. I'll take $50 million of that, renovate the vet, just like the FedEx. I don't know if you can do it for $50 million, but whatever we could get for it, you know, try to make it as best as possible. And then at 150, if that's a real number, I would invest that into the campus.
Absolutely.
The things that I could do around the university, but that's just my take on that. But yeah, so that's all I have on the stadium. We own it until we don't.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's good.
Go ahead, bro.
No, that's good. No, I just want to make sure, because like I said, when I went back through the settlement of the Ayers case, and like you talked about, when something is legislated and it's in law, man, it's so hard to try to overturn anything or go back.
Oh, it's
to fix
impossible.
something. Yeah, and to know that it's like, okay, hey, now we know and we understand going forward.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement.
Yeah, that was based off the fact that Jackson State was the only university in the state that did not have its own stadium. So as a result of that, we were granted ownership of Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
Every other university has its own stadium.
Paid for with state funds, which
Absolutely.
Tater Tot made the argument that that's why he didn't want to build a new one because he didn't want to use state funds, you know. But that's expected.
Yeah, he didn't want to mess with the money that they had going out the door for other stuff. But I'll leave that alone.
Yes, sir.
Why don't y'all ask Brett Favre for some of that money?
Oh, there we go.
Hey, Brett Favre, listen, Brett Favre is a very, very, very small tip of the iceberg, man. That if you follow the trail of money that the scandal behind Brett Favre, you're gonna see some very powerful, prominent people, and a lot more money that's been embezzled and stolen and schemed. Man, I'm trying to tell you, man. So
absolutely,
yes, indeed.
So I remember I would be in so much in favor of renovating the vet. Just my first football game ever, 3 years old, against Southern, ironically. Memories of that vet, that moment is etched in my head. I remember, and you try to talk to younger people, they do not understand this. Brother Carlos, I know you remember it. I don't know if Ken is old enough to remember, but I remember going into the vet for a 7:30 game, and this was the double hitter, because there was a game before that in the stadium, and I remember the white boys coming out of the stadium saying, "Enjoy it, we left it nice for you." You go in there and it's ketchup and mustard. You had to spend like an hour cleaning the space up before you could sit there. I remember that. And those are...
Hey, brother, not even just ketchup and mustard, boy. You talking about dip.
Yeah, everything.
Ain't no damn telling what the hell you find in that damn thing.
Yeah. So just those memories, even though you didn't understand what you were seeing when you was understanding it, it just would mean so much for that edifice to stand there as long as it could. You understand?
Historical grounds, man. It's
yes,
historic.
Sir.
It's history.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Quick, before I let you guys go, I'm gonna ask you two things. It happened, and like that old saying, time heals all wounds. There'll be a time, I guarantee it, where Coach Prime is celebrated even as much as some of his forefathers in terms of being a Jackson State coach with the passage of time because of what's on paper, the wins, the losses, and the championships. Brother Carlos, what is your favorite moment of Coach Prime's reign, and what will you not miss in terms of a current coach?
Oh man, I hate to be controversial, but I was, by proximity, I live in Columbus, Georgia, and so I'm a season ticket holder for Alabama State, and this the Alabama State homecoming.
Your favorite moment?
Yeah, okay. and not even just because of at the end of the game, again, being a season ticket holder, going there, obviously my tickets are on the Alabama State side. So, I'm on the Alabama State side, and, sometimes I give the Hornets a lot of business, because when it came to, like, when Prairie View came to town, like a week or two before Jackson State came, nobody was at the game. But the minute Jackson State showed up, everybody was there.
Sure. Or the week after.
Yeah. And so, I hit them so subtly with my Jackson State stuff. I had a little Jackson State towel, and, obviously the game was in the balance. They thought they had a chance. When State scored the last touchdown, I said, I know y'all about to get up out this stadium and leave right now. And somebody was like, man, somebody just need to shut him up. I said, y'all don't even come to the games if it wasn't Jackson State. I said, y'all keep on messing with me, I'm about this whole row, and ain't nobody got to worry about sitting next to me next. So for me, that was a really big moment, hanging out in Montgomery, getting ready to talk. Just being able to talk that trash. Yeah. And then not only that, after the game, I got to see my neighbors that lived across the street from me in Jackson. So, I grew up in Norwood off of Beasley Road. Yeah. So Berkeley Drive is my bag. So to see my neighbors there, their son, father, everybody get to hug and take a picture with them, that was a big highlight. So I thank Coach Prime for that moment. I think the thing that I'm not going to miss is all the primates, the folks that just came on board for the sake of that's not gonna want to stick around now that he's moved on. And I've had a lot of barbershop discussions with Cat on that magnitude. Like, if you weren't rocking with us before, don't start rocking with us now. Absolutely. I get the extra attention. I get you buying the Jackson State paraphernalia and the whole bit. But bro, you got to stay in this thing and stay the course. So I will not miss the primates at all.
Yeah. Brother Ken, what would your brightest moments be, and what would you not miss?
My brightest moments is when we signed Travis Hunter. When Travis Hunter committed to Jackson State, that was extremember emotional. Man.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
It was just, I'll never forget. I still remember where I was. It was unbelievable, man. To see Jackson State trending, to see him take that hat off and put that shirt on, that'll forever be, stitched in my brain, man, forever. I still remember what I had on, where I was walking in the house, seeing Bleacher Report, ESPN go crazy, watching the video, the chills, and I got choked up, man. Yeah. Because I really believed what Coach Prime sold us, and I said, this is what we needed. That was different. That was different. I always, because you got to keep in mind, we had a conversation prior to even Coach Prime being hired. It started with McCour Maker committing to Howard. It sparked a conversation on a podcast of, what is it going to take to get some of our top athletes to return back to HBCUs? And this was long before Coach Prime was even announced.
Right.
This was like July-ish, or something to that effect. Well, that moment and the second moment, I would say, was when we won the SWAC championship last year. It was a dark time for us for 7 years, man. Actually longer than that. And to that moment, man, we were in the vet. I always sit in the horseshoe before I started being media and down on the field and stuff. But man, we had bottles of champagne in that bad baby. Don't ask me how we got it in there. Just know we got it in.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
Days.
Like,
that's the old days, right?
So look, so shout out to Zoe, man. Zoe started this phenomenon of people taking the flags inside the stadium.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's the 1400 Club Tiger Talks. Zoe, very own Zoe Phillips. He started that. Zoe was the first person. So DeLorean, he took that. He had a retractable pole, and he had the flag. And he was like, "Ken, I got my flag." I was like, "Man, okay." I was thinking, "Fred, these people gonna run you out of here with that flag." And man, it started to pick up. The next thing you know, everybody's bringing flags. So we were at the bottom of the shoe, right by a little farther, a little over in the middle towards section 112, by the steps down there. We popping bottles, man. The boom is rocking. The crowd is lit. You know what I'm saying? And we waving the flag. It was crazy, man. Got a chance to take a picture with the trophy. That championship meant a lot.
Yes, sir.
2022 it was tainted, you know, with everything that kind of went on. So
yeah,
that's one thing I will definitely. Those are some moments, man. Seeing Dolph and all that good stuff. The rappers coming out,
absolutely.
You know, and all the good stuff. The stuff that was the pageantry with it. But those weren't the moments. Those were the two moments I had. SWAC championship and Travis Hunter commit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What would I not miss? Man, he kind of the Primettes was a good one.
Yeah.
The things that I will not miss is I will not miss the culture coming at us. Like I won't miss the hate that was directed towards us.
Sure.
Because Coach Prime was our coach.
That's a good one.
That was exhausting, man. I left all of the SWAC groups. I left all of the HBCU beef groups because, and this is why I was so excited about TC. People don't get me wrong when we say this, but now we finna get back to the real J issue. And I keep saying, it just means more now.
Yeah.
Because now when we kick you in your teeth, you ain't gonna say, "Oh, y'all just did that because of Prime."
Yeah.
It's gonna mean a whole lot more when we win the SWAC championship in 2023.
Yes, sir.
And I'm calling it now. I don't care who hit the portal. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to see everybody hit the portal. I just spent an hour before I talked to you, talking to a player. There's some things going on now, and I'll speak on it after the game.
Yes, sir.
There's a potential of a star player not playing, and I won't get into all of that stuff right now because it's just it's very it's dicey and it could be, you know.
Yeah.
My hope and prayer is that, you know, things work in his favor because, you know, I was privy to hear some more things, and let me say it this way. I'm extremely ready to close the chapter, to close this chapter of our story.
Yes, sir.
And start the new.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We can't, I'm not rushing the game, but 00:00 can't get here fast enough.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
On Saturday. And I just hope we come out on top, but I'm so ready to move on, man, because it's a lot of things that's just not right.
Yeah.
It's just not, it just doesn't feel right. I feel like the team, I just feel like our culture and our university is almost being held hostage almost. I'm being real when I say that.
Yeah.
And I'm very not, this ain't an emotional Ken, this is an informed Ken. And we'll speak more about it when the time is right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Both of you brothers each stole one of mine, so I'm gonna try to work my way around it. I will say that one thing I won't miss is a confidence that I forgot we had within the last decade or so. Brother Carlos, every game that I took my wife to, being up here in Nashville now, when we would go to games, we lost the first 6 of them. And the thing that I will miss the most is that it's hard to explain to her what I used to see and what she was seeing, and she thought I was lying. So going to a game before Coach Prime, it was nice, but you knew you was going to see us get beat, especially against Tennessee State and those type of games. I'm going to miss knowing. As soon as we get in the car and we put that slab, we hit that slab, we going to see us win. That was a feeling that I forgot I missed. I'm going to miss that the most. Like going to Huntsville and the previous trips up there, it was a long ride home. But that pink scooter, that moment solidifies what I'm going to miss the most. Not just that we hope we going to win. We going to win. It's going to be a beatdown, and we going to talk a little stuff on the way out of there. Saying go home in somebody else's home, that's a feeling that if you ain't experienced that, that's something that you can't put into words. The thing that I'm going to miss the most is going to seem kind of childish, but I'm sure it's safe to say now, hell, it ain't going to hurt nothing now, but man, I'm not going to miss the helmets. And I mean, man, those helmets.
I thought that. I literally thought that, and I said I was gonna stay away from that. Boy, that's a good one. Go ahead.
I know.
Go ahead.
I know young cats like that, but my goodness, man, that helmet that we wore last year against Southern and ULM. If you just put a red face mask on that. Oh man. I'd be in heaven.
It's coming back.
It is? Uh-oh.
It's coming.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
We're gonna make sure of it.
Yes, sir. But the chrome helmet.
Make sure. We gotta get our look back, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That street racers helmet.
With the street. Oh man. That looked like a USFL team from back in the early 80s, man. I mean, who designed it? Look like Evil Knievel helmet.
And look, I'm gonna tell you what it looked like. It looked like the JSU's version of, you remember the Seahawks helmet when Steve
larger play.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it looked like.
I said, man, what? Tire holy.
And then sometimes with the combination of the uniforms, you can get to a point where you're trying too hard now. You know what I'm saying? They don't even match. They don't go together. I'm just going to miss that old school look. And that's what I hope coming back. You give me reassurance that we're going to see that red block and the red face mask. Before we get out of here, let me just say. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Before we get out of here, I'm going to answer a question for a lot of people who write in to Brother Brown's station and ask, why do we feel that way? I've done a few shows on this subject. As those who have listened know that I was writing an academic paper that I called The Experiment, and it was based on this movement that had occurred, spurred on by the hiring of Coach Prime. I was hoping that this article would turn into a series of articles that would give me another 4 or 5 years of data. But, and I had said that last week was going to be the end of the experiment. Brother Carlos told me that it's just starting. And with the hiring of TC, there's another side of it that adds to the experiment. So I'm going to continue working on it. But to answer the question to a lot of people who were asking, why did I feel the way that I felt, the best way that I could make it make sense is to repeat something that I said to those who are not from Jackson, who doesn't understand the infrastructure problems, the poverty, the things that we are up against. And when we got somebody that promised us that they were going to do some things, not that we asked for, but he said he would do. The reason we feel so bad and the reason we feel that we do, first of all, nobody is upset at anyone going to take a position. I don't think nobody's upset at Coach Dancy or anybody else that left because they didn't make certain promises. You understand what I'm saying? I would, to make this to make this make sense to really fair-minded, rational, and good people who just don't have skin in the game on the other side. They don't have an emotional investment. I would compare this. I know I'm going to get yelled at and cussed at and fussed at by making this comparison, but in this case, I'm going to compare Coach Prime to Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Now, when E.D. Nixon picked Dr. King, he picked him not only because he was the only one that had the courage to stand up and do it, but he said he would see it all the way to the end. Now, Dr. King led the Montgomery bus boycott, 1955. He did several things after it. And let's say, as we get this momentum going and we're looking at somebody that we know is the man for not only the job, but the assignment. Not just somebody that's going to do the job, but somebody that understands the assignment that perhaps God gave him, right? And he's in it to the end. And he gets us through the bus boycott. He gets us through several local issues that we're having as a people, from Selma to Loudons County and just all over the place. And then he gets us up to the March on Washington in 1963. He prepares it. He sets it up. And in the 11th hour, he tells us, you know what? I just took an offer from the Vatican. I'm going to go be the first black pope. Now, that's wonderful. That's great. But the historical value of what you had done if you had stayed with us meant so much more than the personal gain or making history for the wrong reasons, if that makes sense. I know that was a stretch. That's the only way I can make it make sense to certain people who don't understand how vested we were in it. Go ahead, brother Carlos.
Let me throw this in there quick.
Yes, sir.
The mission itself was already built in with excuses to exit.
Sure.
I'm gonna say it again. The mission itself was built in with excuses to exit.
Mm-hmm.
I would have respected it more if you'd have came back and said, you know what, y'all? I said I was gonna do all this stuff, and man, I bit out more than I could chew.
Yeah.
I've been dealing with a lot. I got this going on. I think I got us in a good situation, so you guys can carry it on. And yada yada yada, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of the matter is that I find it funny that people, the things that the excuses people use to why it was justifiable to bounce, was the very reason why the mission was what it was.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's like, we didn't ask for that. I'm gonna give you an example.
Okay.
I said wow with the MLK example. I didn't see you going that.
I mean, it might be too far, but you understand.
No. I got the impact.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you one. It's gonna be a little raunchy.
Okay.
But keep it as clean as I know how to.
All right.
We're adults.
Yeah, say it how you gotta say it, bro.
You know, we adults, man, and you got a friend. Situationship. Y'all gotta understand it.
Mm-hmm.
The understanding is we do X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no emotions in it. You good for what I need you for. I'm good for what you need me for.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta understand it.
Yes, sir.
You call me, I call you. We take care of each other. That's all this is.
Mm-hmm.
And I like you, you like me. We good with this. You don't owe me nothing. What they say, you don't owe me no lie, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if I take that situation, now I come over there and I say, you know what? I'm gonna leave my old lady now. I want to build something with you. You know I love you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You say no. Whoa. Like Tina Turner, what's love got to do with it? Don't tell me you love me. No. Like, listen, you don't have to tell me you love me that you're gonna leave your lady, because we already good. I'm good with what we got. Yeah, I understand that. But let me tell you something. I love you, and I want to build with you. And you tell me that enough, and I say, and she say, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna let my guard down, and I'm gonna believe you, and I'm gonna accept your love, and I'm gonna believe that you're gonna that you're gonna build something with me. And as soon as you get me to believe in it and loving you back, you say, man, I ain't never coming back no more. Whoa. Wait a minute. If you would have just left me alone and you would have bounced on me, I would have been like, all right, cool. The situation is over.
Mm-hmm.
You done tugged on my heartstrings and you done pulled me in, all caps, unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would like to believe that the heart was in the right place. I would like to believe, and this is what makes it so disappointing to me. The thing that made it the greatest disappointment is that I felt like we were so freaking close to the very thing that he was talking about doing.
Absolutely. You could see it.
It was evidence. It was tangible evidence right there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, just not enough time on task. And, for me, Jackson is hollow ground.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you on Mega Everett Boulevard, you visited in his home. I mean, hell, the vet, I mean, Jackson State's campus. I mean, hell, Tougaloo for even that damn. This is hollow ground that you're on, and he had an excellent opportunity not only to bring the players in there, but to take them, like in the military, we do what we call staff rides to kind of inculcate folks to understand what it is that you're entering into. And if he never took them kids to no pilgrimage to Medgar Evers' home, man, it's just disappointing, you know, of what you could have gave them and instilled in them to help them understand what this means. And then he's an influencer, right? He's an icon. And those follows and those things kind of helped us with some legislation in the city to start trying to turn some of this thing the way that it needs to do. And to Brother Ken's point, like you said, you can't put this all on Jackson State to try to serve Jackson, because Jackson's supposed to be serving the university.
Yeah.
But in turn, it's kind of that way anyway.
Go ahead,
brother. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, because it had paused. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, no, you good, bro. But to finish my point, it's like all of the alums are educators, healthcare professionals, first responders, lawyers, you know, doing everything to try to make Jackson better on a day-to-day basis.
True. Go ahead, Ken.
I was just going to ask. There's things that transpired along the way because people want to see. We can say our community or in the world. There's like Dion has an occult like following. And we do celebrity worship. We worship celebrities, and we do that. So people almost feel like you can't even express
absolutely
what you're really feeling. But what I'm saying is, along the way, there were a lot of things that transpired that he did, that he said, that gave the impression that he was definitely in it.
Yeah.
Now here comes the people say, well, he was in it, but Jackson started stealing from me. Y'all messing with his money. All the BS that was out there that's still just unproven allegations of BS, right?
Right.
But you remember when the kid from FAMU entered the portal, Isaiah Lane.
Absolutely. The hypocrisy of that. Go ahead.
When you sit on your mantle, you sit on your throne of I'm in this thing. I'm SWAC. I am I'm here. My feet are here. When you make a declaration and you say, hey, that's wrong, you can absolutely go to that. It made you feel like, wait a minute, man, Coach Prime internalized this young man's mission. He's bought into this HBCU mission so much so that he speaks out against the star at another school entering the portal. Or was it just because Willie Simmons is your friend? You don't want to see Willie Simmons fail because he's going to lose one of his star kids.
Yeah.
Because that's what it looks like now.
Now, yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And his stature is so big, it's so great that it pressured Isaiah Land to go back to family. Yes, it did. Anybody that want to debate me on that, wait, you waste your breath.
Yes, sir.
Because that kid had several FBS offers to go to those schools, and he would have played, and probably would have, been on a bigger platform than anywhere with FAMU. Now, I hope he get drafted. I hope he get his bag or whatnot. But those are the types of things that we saw that made us say, man, coach is really vested in this thing.
Yeah.
But when you go back and you fast forward, and I'm gonna say this because I say it every time I say it. Go back to the who is SWAC. He ain't SWAC. October the 8th, Montgomery, Alabama. Eddie Robinson Jr. says, I don't need no bro hug. Because maybe Eddie Robinson
knew something.
Saw something that we didn't see.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't, and I didn't like it at the time. I did go against Eddie Robinson Jr.
Yeah.
But I'm asking myself, did I really consider that all the way through? Because after the game, I was told plain as day by someone that's close to him that this was his last season.
Yeah.
I said, man, how long do you think we're gonna be able to keep Prime? He's like, all right, this is it, man. It's probably, he said, worst case scenario. He said it's gonna come down to where he can find, he wants to win, and and all this stuff right here, right?
Yeah.
But he would say at the best for JSU, one additional season at the best. But he was like, I would be shocked if I see Deion stay after this season. And this was October the 8th.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm giving you the timeline. I'll give you one more nugget and I'll leave it alone. You fast forward to Alabama A&M. We play at the Gulf Coast Challenge.
Yeah.
The situation with the stadium. He made it very clear.
Ain't gonna be no next time. Now, see, most people took that to mean we ain't coming back to this stadium. But I knew exactly what he meant. That
was like, oh, I'm good. I'm. So what I'm saying to you is, if you follow the timeline, you'll find out that Colorado was courting Coach Prime for quite some time, and it doesn't matter what you think about him leveling up. The thing that was absolutely done on Jackson State's time was that, I'm going to say it again, they are recruits. It's a reason why our recruiting dipped.
Yeah.
Because there was a certain point in this season where the coaches that are on the staff that are now going to Colorado started recruiting for Colorado.
Sure.
While they were coaching at Jackson State. I don't care what they say. I don't care how they try to address it. That's what they did.
Yeah.
And there's players that I'm pretty sure going to say it when it's all said and done. They're gonna speak their piece, and they're gonna air it out.
Yeah.
That's why I'm telling you guys that I cannot wait for the clock to strike 0.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Because I really want to close this chapter. I don't want to be nasty towards Coach Prime. I am appreciative for the time. But I told somebody this morning. I told a parent today. I said these 2 championships. This is just me. These 2 championships feel like LeBron when he went to Miami.
Yeah.
Now, a championship that we're going to win under TC next season is going to be like LeBron in Cleveland.
Yes, sir. It
just means a whole lot more.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying I'm not appreciative. Love the kids that played for us. I'm just not. But this was this was almost like we out-talented everybody.
Yeah.
And I really thought that it was going to continue and we were going to lift a rising tide, lift all boats. But again, it's okay. We used Coach Prime. Coach Prime used us. They elevated. We elevated. We'll see how much of it is left over for us, and we'll go from there. For those people that want to say, oh, but he gave his salary. Listen, man, there's a lot of coaches that give their money towards things that's beneficial for them at their program.
Sure.
If you say the plans were already in place for the facilities, the money was already there, and what Coach Prime was allowed to do was come in, put his own stamp on it. He was able to add some additional fixes, which is where he put his money, as well as getting it expedited for the beginning of fall camp. Okay? I'll say this. The question I'm going to ask everybody that want to say, well, he brought y'all a practice field. Well, he upgraded the facilities. Let me ask you a question. And if it helped him recruit, did it help him win?
Yeah.
And if it helped him win, did it help him land his next opportunity? So I don't want you to keep saying like y'all as if there was some type of charity work, as if his investment into Jackson State wasn't directly beneficial to him also, and he was able to benefit from it. That's why I said I would have just rather celebrated both sides. It was a win-win for both parties. We cut our ties, we move on, we wish you well, and we leave it at that.
Absolutely.
That's all I got.
Absolutely. One last thing. Do y'all remember? You know the swag meet. You know the swag presser that comes out every Monday.
Yep.
Do y'all remember week 3 after the Southern Heritage Classic?
Yep.
You remember where he was late getting there? Do you remember where he said he was? Is it Colorado?
Yep.
Man, hindsight is 20/20, but
I'll give you another one. When someone says, when someone is used to doing things, I don't listen to what people say. I just watch what they do in conjunction with what they say. I've been a liar before. I know what a lie sounds like, and I'm not saying he's lying. I might say you just said it because you preface it. No, just consider this. When you have to give an explanation about your actions, and you never had to do that, that'll tell you a lot of things. Everyone has a conscience, man. And sometimes when we do things in our conscience, you know what I'm saying? You feel like sometimes when the things are a bit murky, a little somewhat unethical, you tend to overcompensate. And everybody operates by a pattern. Coach Prime has never came out and said, because I know some people gonna say I'm over here doing this. I gotta go handle some business. I'm pretty sure you were.
Yeah.
Now that all the things are coming out, and it's okay. I mean, I've taken interviews on the job. I've gone to my car and done phone interviews while I was working in another company. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand all that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about the dangers of keeping a coach on that roster, Saturday very well could be a tryout for Colorado. Just consider that. Could be things that happen where certain players might get featured and highlighted.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's just see. So let's just see if there's a correlation to the fact that if a certain player has a good game and next thing you know they hit the portal and then they get a Colorado offer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Well,
you know what I'm saying, so it's that type of stuff, and this is the type of stuff that you have to deal with and say, you know what, at least just win the game, man.
Yeah.
If we win, great. If we don't win, whatever.
At least it's over. At least it's over. But I sure hope we can get it. And I look forward to
I want it for the seniors, man. I got a couple of seniors I'm very close to.
Aubrey
and I want to get it, man. Aubrey, man.
Aubrey, he came back for this moment, and it's like you kind of robbed him of it, especially not giving him all the bullets in the gun, But I hope it goes the way we want it to go. I look forward to seeing both of y'all there. I'm gonna leave out Friday morning.
When you be there?
Friday, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there an hour or so before the kick.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you right down there.
Yeah, I'm right down the road.
yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
man.
I'll be at Cam Newton's spot tomorrow, man. Fucking on some cigars, man.
Okay.
So
that's what's up.
Yeah, so man, we definitely, man, inbox me and shoot your number to me. I definitely like to meet with you, man, when we're there.
Sir.
I'll be doing media somewhere down on the field.
Yeah,
I'll be in press box or something like that.
Yes, sir. And I'm taking my son and my youngest, and he is 3 on the 17th. And that's his first game. You understand? Yes, sir. I want to show you something, Brother Carlos, real quick before we get out of here. You used to sell these, didn't you?
Oh, you know it, man.
That's the last time. That's the last time we played North Carolina Central. I know you can't see it down there. That's 1987.
Nah, I see that thing, man. I think I missed the numbers up sometimes. But I think the programs are like $2, and we made 25 cents off every program. So.
Absolutely. And also one last thing. I've had this thing since I was 12 years old. And you remember how you was a little kid and you was and you really looked up to somebody and you wanted to emulate them and be like them. I mean, it's in pristine condition. See that?
Oh yeah, I remember I saw you there.
So it may have been 20. It's been 20 years since I cracked this thing open, right? So I just happened to crack it open to bring it here just to show it, and I'll be damned.
Oh man, get out of here!
If that ain't the feature, you understand what I'm saying?
Man, get out of here!
Gracious.
Ain't that something?
But
that's something else.
Two books real quick that we want to spotlight. 3. Brother Ken's book. Please go get it. Black College Football: The Game That Time Forgot.
That's me, Brother Sam.
Can you see it?
Don't worry about it. I got it right here.
Okay, he got it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, we go back to Power Junior High. He got that history in there. He's got the special games that we went to, a business component to this book. Please go out and get it. There's another book called Cooley J, Grambler's Man with the Golden Pen, by Michael Hurd. It'll explain some of those glory days of HBCU football and why we love it so much. I'm so bad at that, Will. You mind holding it up for me? And one more, Black College Football, the revised and updated edition, 1892 to 1992, the first 100 years of history, education, and pride in Black college football. Go get it. And it'll take you up to, from 1892, that first game with Biddle and Livingstone, all the way up to, I would say, the beginning stages of McNair's years. That book needs an addition. And also my book, shameless plug, I Only Have an Hour, a look at Mississippi through the lens of a Black college football cultural framework. Please go get it. You got it up there? Oh, man, you on top of it.
You also have another book up there, too.
Yeah. We'll talk about that next week. It's kind of off subject, you know what I mean. But any last words before we get out of here? Brother Ken?
Yeah, man. Shout out to JSU Tiger Nation, man. We got to get behind Coach TC. Like I said, he's one of our own, true blue. alum, Bleeds Blue, played under Big Daddy.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
He was, man, I'm so happy for the brother, man. It was an emotional day. I got to be real. When I watched that reaction, man, I felt it. Got emotional, man. Got choked up.
Yeah.
And I'm just truly happy for him, man. I want everybody to make sure we support him just as much as we supported Coach Prime and his staff and their team. And I know we averaged 40. I said that we averaged 42,000 fans this past season. My challenge to Jackson State is to average 45 this year. We sold 8,000 season tickets. My challenge is to sell over 10,000. Doesn't matter if you're gonna make it to 2 games. Get you a set, maybe 2 sets, and you got that QR code. Bless somebody if you got a platform. Just make sure we do more.
Yeah,
it's up to us. I get a chance to sit down and talk to A.D. Robinson and Coach them tomorrow, and just kind of speak to some ideas. And a lot of people have been flooding me with some things we can do to maintain and keep this momentum. And my slogan is simple: it's on us now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we got to peep under the tent, and we got to show up and show out, man, and let everybody know how Jackson really gets down. There's going to be a lot of eyes on Jackson to see how we respond to Coach Prime not being there.
Yes, sir.
And the juice you want to see, the excitement you love, the momentum that you grew to to not get enough of.
Yes, sir.
It's on us to keep that momentum going. So that's all I got. Peace and blessings, man. Go Tigers.
Yes, sir. Brother Brother Carlos.
Hey, yeah, man, all I got is, shout out to Ken and them for what they do with Tiger Talk and the whole 1400 Club. Now, I always got to keep digging up GSPN and J Max and them for what they do. And then for any and everybody that's out there, if you're an HBCU alum, you give a damn about HBCUs or whatever, that SWAC MEAC challenge and even the Celebration Bowl, we got to start flooding these games. And then we got to big them up so we can get this cricket off our stuff. We need a better sponsor than dadgum cricket and what we're doing. And I ain't talking about Bojangles or dadgum Cracker Barrel neither.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get a better deal. But we got to start putting people in there because, if between like the Magic City Classic, Bayou Classic, Capital City Classic, we telling folks that we can put 50 to 60-something thousand folks at these classics, we got to be able to bring that to the Celebration Bowl, regardless of if your team is there or they're not there.
And the same thing with your conference,
Exactly. And if you want to wear your colors, wear your colors. But we got to start showing that economic power that we have, because what pisses me off is the way they open the tickets up for the Celebration Bowl, treating us in like we second class and in the margins versus letting us know what's available and pity packing them tickets out to us. And then folks out here trying to capitalize and monetize off of stuff, buying them stuff and trying to resell them to us. And but like I said, I look forward to seeing everybody at the game. And hey, let's go Tigers.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Coach TC. Can't wait to start that next chapter over. Brother Brown, you want to say anything before we get out of here?
Nah, man, you guys, y'all pretty much, cleared everything up. I'm laying college, so
yeah.
I didn't have a dog in the fight.
Me too. I think we all have a dog in the fight because this attack is on HBCU.
True.
But I will ask you a favor, Brother Brown. I don't usually do this, but in commemoration of the Celebration Bowl, I would like to ask you to give me my theme music. You understand? We will see y'all next week. I don't know what we're talking about, but it's going to be blackity black, in the words of Great Harry Tubman. We out!